Here with our sportsbook insider Ben Fawkes to talk where all the cash and tickets are going this week in the NFL schedule. Now, Ben, I definitely want to talk some college football bowl games, but first, just how badly did the betting public take it on the chin in Week 14?
Yeah, we don't like to kick the public when they're down, and certainly they've been up plenty this season, especially in the NFL. But it wasn't a great Week 14 for the public. Anytime some of the most bet teams don't cover, it's generally not going to go well. At one sportsbook, the top 5 most bet teams didn't cover. That was the Texans, -3 against the Jets, the Dolphins, -14 against the Titans, the Lions, -3 against the Bears, the Packers, -6 at the Giants, and the Chiefs, -1.5 against the Bills. What was also notable, is all those teams also lost outright. And so again, that's going to crush all of the parlays, and in some cases, some of the teasers with some of those teams. And that's just something that's never going to be good for the public. So once they're losing the spread and then the teaser or money line parlays, it's generally going to be a bad weekend. And that's what we saw in Week 14.
So as far as the Week 15 Saturday games are concerned, we've got the Bengals as 3-point faves against the Vikings, Colts 1.5-point home faves against the Steelers, and the Lions as 4.5-point home faves against the Denver Broncos. Anything notable in terms of ticket count or money for these three matchups?
So we did see some sharp money at one book at the Bengals -2.5 to get us up to that number of 3. The public is all over the Bengals here. About 75% of the bets on the Bengals. I think, again, right, the public likes to bet what they saw last. We just saw the Bengals play a very impressive game against a Colts team in the playoff race and really win going away at home. And we saw the Vikings win 3-0 against the Raiders in one of the uglier NFL games you'll ever watch, and managed to also bench their quarterback. So now Nick Mullins is starting in this game, and the Vikings benched him the last game. Not a lot necessarily for the public to hang its hat on there, although the Vikings do have a very good defense. But we've seen the public come in on the Bengals in that one. And then I think we'll also see the public on the Colts in this game. We have seen this line tick down a bit, moving from the Colts -2.5 to Colts -1.5. But the public is on the Colts here with about 75% of the bets, but only 60% of the money on the Colts as well. I think as well we'll see the Lions continue to see some more money on them from sharper players as kind of a buy low spot for Detroit against the Broncos.
Okay, let's move on to the Sunday games now. Which sides are the biggest in terms of both money and ticket count?
So there's definitely one that's going to stand out, and it's not surprising. That is the Atlanta Falcons as a 3-point road favorite. I think pretty much if you've faded the Carolina Panthers this season, you've done well betting, as they've only covered two games, 9-2, I believe, against the spread. Everybody's on the Falcons. 85% of bets is the most lopsided game of the week in terms of the public ticket count. But a couple other games to focus on, though. We've seen the line come down. The Dolphins facing the Jets. This was Dolphins -10. It's now -8.5. So we've seen some respected money come in there on the Jets. And same thing in the Patriots-Chiefs. We've seen some respected money. That was Patriots +9.5. That's now down to 7.5. The public all over the Chiefs and the wise guys on the Patriots there. And we've seen a little bit of that split in 2 other games as well. The Ravens, we've seen some sharp money there at, taking on the Jaguars at +3.5 on the Jaguars there, getting that line down. But the public all over the Ravens, 75% of the bets on the Ravens. And then the Rams and Washington. Again, Washington coming off a bye. Rams a 6.5-point favorite. 80% of the bets, 80% of the money on the Rams. That line has stayed the same, though, so has not really ticked up to 7 yet, but the public all over the Rams. I think finally in the marquee game, the Bills and the Cowboys, we're going to see the public on the Cowboys and the Sharps on the Bills in that game. That's what we've seen so far.
And what about totals? Anything noteworthy there as we sit here on a late Thursday afternoon?
Yeah, a couple to look at. A lot of money at one sportsbook on the Browns-Bears under 38.5. And we've seen a lot of money on the Giants-Saints over. That was at 36.5, now up to around 39. 87% of the money at one sportsbook there. Again, pushing some of that up. now to 39. And we've seen a lot of money in the Commanders, Rams over 50.5 as well. That's up from 48.5. So those are certainly three that stand out.
Let's wrap up with some bowl notes here. Not a ton of big-time programs in the mix on Saturday. We've got a couple Pac-12 teams. Texas Tech plays on Saturday, but where is the action on this first batch of bowl games?
I think the big one that stands out is Texas Tech against Cal in the Independence Bowl. That is the most bet game at one sportsbook. 73% of the tickets on Texas Tech to cover, 65% of the money. So that's been the most bet one. In terms of money that stands out, New Mexico State and the New Mexico Bowl, 91% of the money at one sportsbook on New Mexico State, -3.5. And then New Orleans Bowl, we've also seen a lot of public money on Jacksonville State, -2.5. About 80% of the bets, 90% of the money there on Jacksonville State. So should be a good set of games. You'll just kind of want to focus on one or two potentially, do your research, and figure out who is playing as well for all these teams and who's going to be motivated to win and or
At BFawkes22 on X. Ben, thanks for joining us here. Have a great weekend.